This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Tuesday, April 7th, 2020, getting into the week here. We've got a lot to talk about. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. That's 800-313-9443. Mike is in our control room, ready to answer the phone, put you on the air with your comments, questions, observations, and jokes. I'm going to declare this a joke day. The news has just been so serious and so down, and it's hard trying to keep an even keel. So the rule for today is if you call on in, you got to have a joke to share with everybody. Keep it clean. We're still radio here. But we're going to do that and see if that kind of picks things up here a little bit. All right, getting on into the news here. I'm going to start with this brouhaha over Captain Crozier because I got a lot of emails about this last night. And a lot of people talking about it. And the emails, a small percentage of them said that the Navy is always right, even when it's wrong. But the vast majority, and this included people who say they're in the Navy, saying that no regulations were actually broken by Captain Crozier. But we do have a little more firm, hard information about what went down. And that CC list that was on this email he sent on out was mostly his staff, which he's keeping them informed, and it went to Navy brass. Now, apparently, Admiral Baker and at least one other admiral were not on it because Crozier had already talked to them about the situation and been turned down. So we're already aware that we've got that. And so the characterization that he did not go through the chain of command is not accurate. Now, remember, we read out that definition of chain of command from Wikipedia the other day, and some of these emails from people in the Navy said exactly the same thing. There was no actual command. It was informational only. And so the chain of command doesn't really apply. He can't be prosecuted or punished for violating the chain of command because there was no actual command involved, which makes a lot of sense. So apparently focus has now shifted to the acting Secretary of the Navy, Thomas Modly, who got up in front of the crew of this ship and made a speech that was out there calling Captain Crozier too stupid and naive to command an aircraft carrier. And that did not go over very well with the crew, who, as you probably remember, gave him a rousing send-off, chanting his name as he left the ship. And he's got a record as a very good commander. That's why they gave him the carrier in the first place. So now, as of last report, Modly apologized for calling the Roosevelt captain naive and stupid and has now resigned. The news is saying he offered to resign, but he's telling his own staff he has resigned effective immediately. So it looks like this is going to resolve itself. Trump says he's going to get involved. All right, let's take a phone call from Don in Arizona. Aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
I'll tell a joke, Mike. This is the only joke I can remember. It was a good one. I used to be an over-the-road truck driver, actually, for a while. And sometimes you'd have these big traffic stops, like there'd be a wreck, and everybody just be sitting there. And these guys would get on the CB radio and talk, tell jokes. And this one is a man went to bed. Remember when Tanya Harding and Lorena Bobbitt, right?
Yes.
So a man went to bed with Hillary Clinton, Tanya Harding, and Lorena Bobbitt. He woke up with his penis amputated, a broken leg, and no health insurance. That's a joke. Remember, because Hillary
I
was
like
in with
that one. I like that one.
That's oldie but goodie. I want to say something about Dustin. I've never said anything about Dustin, but people always complain about him, and then he'll call back and make his rebuttal. I have no problem with Dustin because when he starts talking, I hit the mute button, and so that way, and 15 minutes later, I'll turn it back on. So that's all I got to say. Thanks, Mike.
All right, well, thank you very much, I think, for that phone call here. And poor Dustin, everybody wants to abuse him here. All righty, as you're aware, Hillary Clinton is involved in this legal wrangling regarding her court-ordered email testimony, and she does not want to do that. She does not want to testify under oath. She's filed an emergency motion with the court to block it. But apparently, even the State Department is now saying that they should reject Hillary Clinton's desperate appeal to avoid testimony. So even her old friends, if she had any over at the State Department, are saying, no, you put her under oath and you find out what's really been going on. Meanwhile, Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff are out there planning another witch hunt against the president. This time it's going to be the coronavirus. How did he respond? Did he do the right thing? And they want to sit there and they want to second guess the president. And they're going to say, well, look at how many people died. Well, how many more people would have died if Trump didn't do what he did? And I understand that we're all kind of a little frustrated. We're stuck at home. We're getting bored. We've seen the same TV shows several times over, and we're desperate to find things to do to occupy our time while we stay home, for those of us who are not home officing here. And in my case, I decided I would relearn how to use a slide rule, which if you're my age, you'll remember what these are, and then relearn how to solve the Rubik's Cube, which is actually easier than the slide rule because these little colored stickers, they just peel right off and you can move them around all you want. All righty, so the Wisconsin primary, if you live in Wisconsin, get out there and vote because the primary is going on. There was a big legal wrangle on that, but unless the United States Supreme Court intervenes, and it doesn't look like they're going to, then the state Supreme Court has basically said the primary election goes on, although probably more people are going to be using the absentee voting system to express their preferences here. Stephanie Grisham has been outed as the White House press secretary. There's a shakeup going on inside the White House. Apparently, Stephanie never actually held a press briefing. She never had a single on-camera press briefing, and she's being moved to Chief of Staff for First Lady Melania Trump. Well, that's, to me, sounds like it might be a promotion rather than an ouster. So we'll see what's going to happen there. Sean Hannity and Bill O'Reilly were both on the air talking about Joe Biden's deteriorating mental health and saying he's not going to make it through to November. He is deteriorating that rapidly. I mean, it's visible. We can all see it. It's tragic to see it happen to anybody, even people you don't like. And they're still talking about Cuomo getting drafted to be the Democratic nominee. Now, Cuomo has said that he doesn't want the job, but I'm sure that if he thinks there's a real possibility that he could get it, he might step in, or he might step in and just say, I'm going to have fun. From now through November, I'm going to have fun being a presidential candidate. Trump's going to win a second term anyway, and I'll go back to doing what it was I was doing before. But it's interesting that more and more people on the corporate media are talking about Biden not really having what it takes to be a candidate, let alone the president of the United States of America. Okay, so Trump has fired the intelligence community inspector general, Michael Atkinson, called him terrible and a total disgrace. But Atkinson was the one who first brought up the whistleblower complaint that led to that whole Russiagate fiasco. And so a lot of people are saying that this is Trump's payback. Well, maybe, but he is the president and he has the executive authority to hire and fire anybody he pleases. And by the way, I'm still available to run NASA if you're interested here. All right, we're going to take a phone call from Dan in Texas. Aloha, Dan. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Mike. I got a couple of quick jokes for you.
Thank you, sir.
Two blondes on either side of a river. Blonde on the east side yells to the one on the west side, "How do I get to the other side?" The one on the west side looks up the river and down the river and yells back, "You're already on the other side."
That's a good one.
All right. A police officer pulls a guy over. He approaches and takes the driver's license of the driver and says to him, "Sir, your eyes appear to be bloodshot. Have you been drinking?" And the driver said, "Well, officer, your eyes appear to be glazed. Have you been eating donuts?"
That's a good one. I hadn't heard that one.
I could go on forever, Mike, but
well, I think we're going to give some other people a chance here because the phone lines are already loading up here. So thank you very
All
much
right.
for the jokes. They were funny. I shouldn't enjoy them to be politically correct, but I do like blonde jokes. So let's go to Joe in Tennessee. Aloha, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, first I'll start with a joke. This guy, he wakes up in a hospital bed, and there's a doctor looking at him, seriously, and he says, Doc, what happened? The doc says, well, I got some good news and some bad news. He says, all right, well, give me the bad news first. He says, well, I had to get in a motorcycle accident, and I had to amputate both your feet. And he says, wow, that's bad news. I could use some good news. What's the good news? He says, I found somebody that'll buy your shoes.
Oh, God. I thought it was going to be somebody who would buy the motorcycle.
Yeah, well, buy your shoes. It's all about life's all about perspective. I just wanted to comment about the Navy again, real quick. And there's a term in the Merchant Marine and Navy. It's called seaworthiness. And seaworthiness doesn't just account for the vessel, whether it floats, if it needs to be painted, if the engines work. It also has to do with the crew. The crew isn't well trained, the vessel's not seaworthy. If the crew's sick, the vessel's not seaworthy. And the problem I have with this captain, I've always had with this captain, is he allowed information about his crew's sickness to get off the vessel into the media and for our enemies to find out about it. Now, whether it's through another Navy guy or whatever, and this has always been it. It's ops security, operational security. And if anybody else had done this, if I did that when I worked for the military, USNS Gordon, Gilliland, Bob Hope, you name them, I was on a bunch of them. I would lose my security clearance and I wouldn't be able to sail as an executive officer, as a chief engineer or first engineer or captain or chief mate. There's certain jobs. And that's what surprises me about this whole thing is that a captain could be so stupid. And that's why it's kind of funny to me, not funny, but sad to see this, the head of the Navy resigning for calling him naive and stupid, because those are two good words to describe this guy. Now, I don't know if he's having a bad day, if he was sick with the coronavirus. That's all, whether we're not asking him to be put against the wall and shot. But I do think he should have been relieved of command to make an example out of him for violating operational, security, and also for alerting the other people that are enemies also about the unseaworthiness of a carrier and a carrier battle group. That's serious stuff. Like they said in World War II, loose lips sink ships. So I just, I'm kind of appalled by hearing all this stuff about, making him a big hero, because really you need discipline in the Navy. And, I just think it's sad for what this is going to entail, that we're going to just let captains go, making their complaint. This captain also, 2 weeks ago, he made a port call in Vietnam. Here we got China right next door having, a month or so of the Wuhan virus. And he goes and has a friendship port call in Vietnam. Half his crew probably got coronavirus from sleeping with Vietnamese chicks or something. I know what port calls are like when the Navy comes into town. I'll tell you that. So yes. I got a lot of problems with this guy's, judgment is what it comes down to. I don't think he made very good judgment calls as a captain. And I think that it's a shame, because what's going on is very destructive now towards the Navy and towards discipline. And, now every captain's going to think if he wins and they cheer him on and he gets promoted or whatever, every captain's going to think he can take things off the boat whenever he feels like it. We have an expression in the Merchant Marine: don't take it off the boat. Let's settle it here. You settle your issues here. And an aircraft carrier, they have the ability to fly people on and off, and helicopters sick people on and off. So I just think that he jumped the gun, and I think he went outside the bounds where the boundaries that are set, and he violated operational security. But
there are two areas in which I'm going to disagree with you. And first of all is I don't think he allowed this news to become public. Again, going back to the revelations about his CC list being his own staff and some other Navy brass, somebody within that group is the leaker. And I don't think the captain intended for that to happen. He did also note within his letter that the carrier was in fact seaworthy and could still sail, but he was concerned about the future of his crew. And the other thing is, captains of battle groups don't just pull into another country's port, without it having been arranged ahead of time through, diplomatic channels. So it's not like he was just steaming along there and all of a sudden, oh, there's Vietnam. Let's just pull in there for a wild night.
Yeah, but for a captain so concerned about his crew's health and safety, I would think that he would say, with the virus in China right across the border, we've canceled flights from China. Is it I think this was like March 14th or March 15th. I'd have to go back in time to remember how thick, but I'm quite sure the whole Wuhan was under lockdown then. I mean, so I just think that his judgment, once again, I don't know why he didn't send a letter to his staff that could have leaked to the newspapers about how putting his crew at risk going into Vietnam was. I'd like to see some consistency. That's all. But anyway,
Okay,
I'll let you go. Thank you.
How many cases of coronavirus were being reported in Vietnam at the time they pulled in for the port call?
I don't know. That's a good question. But
I think it's a very good question.
Once again, I mean, it's right across the border from China. So what are the Vietnamese? Are they? Where did it get on the boat to begin with? I would say that's probably a likely spot where they all picked it up. Because 2 weeks
I
before
agree.
that,
It's probably it's a likely spot there. But the question is, given the information the captain had, like I said, these port calls are arranged way in advance. There's diplomatic channels. They have to make sure that the port is going to have room to park all those ships. And so, like I said, it's not just something that was spur of the moment. And the captain may have felt that he didn't really have the authority to call it off. That would have made an even bigger stink, I think.
Like I said, I wonder. I'd like to ask him that question myself, but I won't get that opportunity. Anyway, all right. Have a nice day.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go here. Speaking of warships, Trump is sending warships to Venezuela while the world partners to fight the deadly pandemic. And we are seeing this so-called counter-narcotics effort by U.S. Southern Command, deploying Navy destroyers, combat ships, aircraft and helicopters, Coast Guard cutters all around Venezuela. So it looks to me like they're getting ready to invade. They're going to do to Maduro what they did to Noriega. And if he's lucky, he'll wind up making license plates in some American prison. But it's going to get ugly. And the question is, how are they going to sell this to the American people? Because I think right now, with so many other things going on with the economy and the coronavirus, that the American people are just going to say, what, another war? What is this? Like, you have a war, 2 weeks ago and you're hungry for blood again? So I would expect that there might be a false flag of some kind to blame on Maduro. In fact, I've noticed all this week, all last week, on Fox News, they were running a lot of religiously themed stories, about, keep the faith and, go to church virtually. And part of it, maybe the church is lobbying for some airtime because they need those tithes in the plates. Churches are like anything else. They need money to run. And that may be part of it. But the other part of it is, I'm wondering, with Easter upon us this week, if there might be a false flag of some kind that strikes at a religious target to just anger all the Christians and get them all revved up and say, yes, we've got to go kill whoever it is we're going to be told to kill, whether that's Venezuela or Iran or the whole bunch all in one. I'm not really sure. But they're out there and they've indicted Maduro for transferring illegal drugs. Now, remember, an indictment is merely an accusation. They haven't provided any proof yet. There is no more proof that Maduro is running a drug cartel than there was that Saddam Hussein had nuclear weapons. We're going to go back to the phones here to Bruce in Texas. Aloha, Bruce. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Doing fine.
Great. Yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones that still have a job.
Good for you.
Knock on wood for that. Yeah, I'm in the manufacturing sector, and they haven't stopped. They're not even wearing masks or gloves. They're like, screw it, we got orders to fill.
Hey, Bruce, Bruce, stay on the phone. I got to put you on hold. We got to take a break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719 extension 3. 800-724-2719 extension 3.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Bruce in Texas, and Bruce, you were telling us you still have a job in manufacturing, and the people are apparently not practicing social distancing.
No, they're not. I mean, they had the wipes, and guidelines, and the people in the administration building, they're definitely doing the social distancing, and they don't even allow people in their offices, and that's not at all. You have to call them or do like a Skype. But on the shop floor, everything's pretty much normal. I mean, nobody's sick yet, but that's kind of a side issue. I feel for the people who are really hurt by this thing. I think it's overblown. But then on the other hand, and this is why I called you, because you seem to be an evil keel as far as conspiracies go. There are valid ones, and then I think we can be manipulated due to our skepticism into believing something that is totally outrageous or ridiculous. And it draws discredit upon anyone who questions anything. If you follow these false rabbit trails. One thing, and this is the smaller issue, the videos of the empty hospitals or whatever, and the empty tents. Well, look, it's all a hoax. That's the narrative that it's all a hoax. There's no such thing as a pandemic. It's all made up because the hospitals are basically almost empty. Well, if they've canceled all the elective surgeries, all the normal day-to-day operations of a hospital, you're going to have empty hallways, you know.
Yes.
And if you're over preparing, or if you're preparing for a pandemic, the worst outcome of a pandemic, well, you're going to have empty tents. You know, and so that's one thing. And then the next, which is really off the wall, there are people who are claiming that viruses are a hoax themselves, that there is no such thing as a virus. That Louis Pasteur confessed on his deathbed that he made it all up, or he fudged the information, or some I don't know, conspiracy back in the 19th. I'm serious. This is out there.
I know, but viruses were completely unknown in Louis Pasteur's day. He was dealing, you know, with things like anthrax, which is considerably larger, and you can see the spores, and you could see the results of it. But he didn't know about viruses. Nobody did back then. So the story that he confessed that he made up viruses on his deathbed is obviously fake news.
Right. Yeah. Well, people are getting roped into this, you know. And I think it distracts. Also, you know, China created a bioweapon, and for what and then they dropped the beaker or what have you. You know, all this distracts from what may have really happened. We followed a pattern of behavior before and after 9/11, and the false flags and what have you. You know, the U.S. is probably the world's number one manufacturer or researcher into bioweapons, and you have to ask yourself who benefits when China and Iran get simultaneously hit with a virus, and then it spreads throughout the world and it crashes the economy, and then they can do a crash and burn and snatch up just like they did in the Soviet Union. The same characters are in play, the financial oligarchs.
Well,
and,
you know,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, again, the fact that two nations considered to be problems for the United States, China and Iran, both got hit very hard by this thing. And, you know, ultimately, we don't really know yet. There's a lot of accusations. There's a lot of suppositions. There's the possibility that this did, in fact, simply emerge from nature, as so many mutated viruses and germs do. But there's no question that everybody's trying to take advantage of the situation, certainly the United States. In fact, Human Rights Watch was chastising the U.S. government for refusing to lift the Iranian sanctions so that they can get the medicines they need to deal with it.
Right. That's pretty damn terrible there. I mean, imagine the inhumanity of that, you know. But that's an old story, you know. Madeleine Albright, you know, said it was worth it to kill hundreds of thousands of Iraqi children during the Saddam Hussein's rule because it was worth it, you know, according to her. But and someone has $1 million reward for if you can prove that viruses exist, supposedly. But they discount all the evidence, electron microscope evidence, all the research has been done over the decades. It's kind of like the moon, you know. Well, we didn't go to the moon, so prove to me the moon isn't made of cheese, and you can't use moon rocks because they're fake. So, you know, how do you disprove something like that? You can't, you know. Anyhow, I'll let you go there, Mike. Thank you for having me on.
All right. Thank you very much for the phone call. People are actually mailing me in jokes. 20 years ago, we had Johnny Cash, Bob Hope, and Steve Jobs. Now we have no cash, no hope, and no jobs. Please do not let Kevin Bacon die. We got to take another break here for commercials. Back with more phone calls after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry, because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Did you know that you can be tracked and traced when you're online? With identity theft and cybercrimes on the rise, your passwords, your identity, and even your physical location can be revealed to complete strangers. Would you like to surf the internet anonymously and not have to worry about these threats? Well, now you can by visiting patriotinternet.com. For about $2 per month, patriotinternet.com will conceal your IP address and your physical location, allowing you to browse the web, send emails, and instant message anonymously. patriotinternet.com will bypass filters, block sites, and keyword blocking. You can also bypass logging by your router and your ISP. With patriotinternet.com, there is no software to install and uses 128-bit encryption for your protection. When using wireless hotspots, patriotinternet.com shields your information from identity thieves and is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Protect your identity and your freedom with anonymous internet access from patriotinternet.com. Visit patriotinternet.com today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When your doctor tells you you have bad cholesterol or blockages in the arteries, what do? When diet and exercise is not enough, we try medications and hope for the best. For the last 2 decades, I have been telling people about a natural method to help solve these problems and more. Extendovite can help maintain cardiovascular health and lower blood lipid levels in adults. The 7 herbs in Extendovite are known to work together synergistically to get the results we hope for. There are many testimonials on Extendovite's effect on circulatory-related ailments. Get Extendovite today to start your journey back to a healthier life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or see us on amazon.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And another mail-in joke that we got here. Why don't cannibals eat clowns? Because they taste funny. So we're going to go back to the phones here to Andy in Texas. Aloha, Andy. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Andy in Texas, Mike. Are you there? Hey, there you are.
I am here. All right. Hey,
you got to be from there.
No, well, you went to several different places while I was on hold, but I want to go back to, okay, so let's look at this conference that we had where the head of the military and whatnot, they said, well, we're sending all these troops down to Venezuela and it's a narco thing. We're going after the cartels and all this other stuff and whatnot. Okay, so they haven't said a whole bunch more about that. I've kind of been paying attention. And so, boom, they just gave us kind of a heads up that what they're doing. Okay, so that's watch COVID-19 and here's what's really going on. So they kind of gave us a clue. But now looking at what they've already done in COVID-19 here, okay, so what they've already done is if this doesn't pan out, okay, if this doesn't pan out the way they're saying, they've commandeered stadiums in California. They've commandeered stadiums, convention centers, and they're putting tents up and respirators and doing all the stuff that they can and whatnot. And they're setting all this stuff up. So they're really going all out on this. But in many cases, we've already proved that this is not actually what's going on. I mean, that stuff is going on, but there's no patience for it. And my opinion is that they're not going through all of this for no reason. So y'all can just keep that on your mind, okay? But let's think about this. They can't go back. They can't go back now, okay? Because the trust of the American people. I mean, there'll be some people that'll be like, oh, light switch on, we got a virus. Light switch off, okay, we're out of the virus, and they'll try to maintain their regular life and stuff. But a lot of people are going to be woken up from this, so they can't go back. If they go back, all they did was make more patriots. And I don't know what that means because their weapons are far surpassing our weapons. But having said that is that I don't think they're going to go that route. This is something they can't turn back from. They have to stay with it, and they're going to get what they want. And people need to go look what is Bill Gates saying right now? What is Fauci saying right now? Fauci was involved with the AIDS virus. He tried to get $2 billion from Congress just for the Zika virus. Okay, so, and he didn't get it, by the way. Zika just kind of faded out because Bill Gates and his genetically modified mosquitoes in South America during the Olympics, mind you, didn't flip and pan out so much. So, and now we're looking at this guy who's actually really in charge right now. It seems to be Bill Gates and Fauci. We've got kind of a little dual monarchy going on here. These guys are all in, and these guys have been friends forever. So, and then look up the history of Bill Gates. Look up the history of Fauci. Look up at the World Health Organization. That guy is a phenomenal genocide-pronouncing person. The guy on the World Health Organization, I forget his name, but just look him up. You can find it. It's simple. But you'll find out that he had a lot to do with some plagues and whatnot in Ethiopia or whatnot. I believe it's Ethiopia. And so, I mean, this guy's the head of the World Organization. So this, to me, I'm just seeing a whole bunch of fraud going on now. And we all knew that this new world order thing was in the bounds. You can call it whatever you want, one world order, whatever it is. They wanted to do this. They were on to this. They wanted to do this. And, well, they put their players involved. I mean, go back and look where Bill Gates came from. He was DARPA appointed for the IBM and whatnot. And Windows wasn't his invention. It was the government's invention. Same thing with Facebook. Same thing with Google. It's all government. It's all hooked up together. We got these facial people that represent these places like Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and whatnot. But those places were always what these people have been wanting to do. And now we're stuck with it. Okay. And even an AR-15 or if you're Joe Biden, it's an AR-14. But none of this is going to actually do anything against what these guys want to do. We're going to get it one way or the other. And 5G has a really big player in this. I think that's a lot of why we're locked down is because they're putting 5G everywhere right now without us knowing. And I actually, that's my belief. And I've done some studying and stuff, and I'm just some stupid idiot doing some studying, but that's what I do. And I'm watching videos all the time, and you got to discern between the ones that don't make any sense. And those of us who have been studying this for a long time, we already know what the premise is, what these people's goal is. So you can discern between, if you get that kind of knowledge, you can discern between what is real and what is not actually. This Q stuff is just out there. Anyway, thank you very much, Mike. I really appreciate your time. You have a great day.
Thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Keith Rogers. Aloha, Keith. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Keith, are you there? Okay, we seem to have lost Keith. Let's go to Richard in South Carolina. Aloha, Richard. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Okay. We seem to be having a little bit of a problem. How about John in Indianapolis? Is John there?
There we go. Mike, you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Keith,
Mike.
yes. Yes.
Hi, this
Hello.
is Keith. Yeah, I wanted to just interject something here because of your remark there about Easter. One should remember, like Lockheed Martin has just hired 1,000 back and are planning on hiring 5,000 more.
Yes.
The deal with Venezuela, as you know, is that Venezuela was buying up all that Latin American debt, especially from Argentina. And of course, to stop that, the U.S. put those massive sanctions on them so they couldn't sell their oil. This also involves AT&T buying up all these Latin American telephone companies and stuff. Anyway, with Venezuela, before we jump to there, let's go back to a couple of weeks back when they were talking about drone in Mexico to get the drug lords. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, so remember Fast and Furious, actual headlines like CIA manages the drug trade, Mexican officials say. Reports that CIA working with Mexican drug cartels. The trafficker says that U.S. Fed aided Mexican drug cartels. I mean, the list of these go on and on and on. The banks that laundered hundreds of billions of dollars in drug cartel money, you know, as well as human trafficking. And now it's just like saying, well, Bush went down there to Panama so that William Barr could bring out Noriega and it ended America's drug problem, right? No, wrong. Venezuela, all these Central American countries. Remember before, this was all to stop the Sovietism and communism, you know. And all it was is the U.S. with their CIA death squads killing tens of thousands of Catholics and Protestants. The article from LA Times where it says up until the year 2000 that over 81 countries had been overthrown, and it specifically lists democratically elected governments. And this is no different than with Iran. Iran has a democracy too. It may be, ran by a bunch of mullahs and stuff like that, but Jews even vote there. They have a seat in parliament.
Yes.
And everyone is always victimized. And this is our problem with our society. And sadly, this is what leads to immigration when the United States puts in their fascist dictators who then start clamping down on their citizens who flee those dictatorships and sadly wind up here in America. And so now we have the United States here saying, well, with Donald Trump, well, we're going to need immigrants here. And I wanted to highlight one thing before I get off of here. Jimmy Dore did a great show here just last week here. It had Tulsi Gabbard on there, the CFR Tulsi Gabbard. And she was highlighting about all the stench through these Iowa farms and stuff and these massive cattle ranches, which mostly today are all going bankrupt. And the farmers themselves are committing suicide after losing farms that have been their families for 5 generations, you know. Anyway, she goes on talking about all the problems that go along with the farming and the stink and the ditches and dogs laying them. You know, you got to put the dog in there, especially for me, because that would twist my heart, you know. But anyway, what she failed to mention, though, as she continues talking about, well, down in Brazil, they're leveling off the forest, burning them like that. They're putting these massive cattle ranches. Okay, so here's what she forgot to say. Among the beneficiaries of Trump's bailout for farmers was a Brazilian-owned meat company. It was a U.S. company called JBS. Mm-hmm. It first received $22.3 million, and then secondly, it got another $14.5 million, and thirdly, it got another $25.6 million. These are where your American jobs have gone, and they're worked by the same slave laborers down in South America that have to put up with those horrid conditions that those poor Iowa farmers have to, you know. I mean, don't people see what is going on? And so, like in Iran with the starving and stuff, and the starving in Venezuela, when people chant out death to America, you should realize why they say that. We are not victims.
Yes,
anyway.
Absolutely. And it's been going on for such a long time.
But, you know, anyone can, and anyone can listen to the ex-CIA Philip Agee, or ex-CIA John Stockwell, or Philip McGee. They spell it out. Even Noam Chomsky with the U.S. rule in Latin America. I mean, this has been coming for a long time, and it's the same thing with that UN report that says UN forced immigration. And if you read the article, it's from conflict zones. And it lists 200 and some odd million Arab Muslims leaving their areas because of, like I mentioned before, if you look at Raqqa, Syria, or Mosul, Iraq, these places have been bombed out. They look like Dresden, Hamburg, and it's from U.S.-led wars. And all they care about is pumping trillions of dollars in the military. Had they done that with any stocks for, say, medical supplies, they could have had all this stuff for every single state there is. But there's no profit when things just sit there in a warehouse. But there is profit in selling arms. And they continue to sell arms in these conflict zones so that everyone, I guess, kills each other. And then, of course, you have the reason for a preemptive means to go right back into it again. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Have a good day, Mike. Tell Claire hi.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. Plus, of course, you loan them the money at interest to rebuild from all the destruction. All right. We're going to switch over to John in Indianapolis. Aloha, John. Thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you.
And I'll start with a joke first. How do you make holy water?
Heck if I know.
You boil the hell out of it.
Ah, okay. I was getting close there.
Yeah, I know. Try the veal. Be here all week. Anyway, I've heard you and other folks talk about Hillary possibly insinuating herself into the nomination through one way or another. It's a horrible thought, but I'm wondering, have there been any public opinion polls conducted on this, or any idea what could happen?
Well, if they've conducted any polls, they're not making them public, which would tell me that the poll numbers are not very good. I think the public at large is tired of Hillary Clinton. I know I am.
Yes, I mean, but I don't see how she could play the woman card after the way Tulsi Gabbard's been treated anyway.
True.
But anyway, just curious about that. Good job on the show. My best to you and Claire.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot. The phone lines are open. If you want to call on in, 800-313-9443. Don't forget the jokes here. All right. Getting on back to Venezuela, President Maduro has released a letter addressed to the American people as a whole, urging them to prevent what he calls the madness that drives the government of President Donald Trump. And in this letter, Maduro says Trump seems determined to fulfill his threats of a military invasion against Venezuela. Maduro stated that the country cannot accept war threats nor the intention to install an international guardianship that would violate the country's sovereignty. Now, of course, the problem with this letter is it's not being reported on corporate media. So the vast majority of Americans, unless they come here to independent media, they're not even going to know that the letter exists. They're going to be sitting there thinking, oh, Maduro's a drug lord. Ooh, bad drug lord, bad drug lord. Yes, take my child, take my money, go ahead and invade Venezuela. All right, getting on to the economic news, and the news is not good. The stock market started this morning looking really good. The Dow was up like around 900. But they ended just slightly in the red at the closing bell. It was a real roller coaster ride. Started high, went low, went high again, and then again a sell-off just before the closing bell here. We are seeing bread lines come back to the United States. Now, a lot of them are virtual. During the Great Depression in the 1930s, you would see people lined up to be getting free food. Well, today it's the SNAP cards. And unless you look closely when somebody's at the line at the supermarket, you don't know if they're paying for their own food or if they're on SNAP or some other kind of assistance program, because the card is a card is a card is a card. So it's hidden. We don't see it the way that we did back during the last Great Depression. But lines are stretching at California food banks, also Orlando, Florida. Disneyland is closed down. And it's the largest employer in Anaheim and the region around there. I imagine the same thing is true of Knott's Berry Farm. And of course, all of those resorts over in Orlando, Florida, they're closed. And all the people who work there, they're lining up at the food banks. So there's a new phrase here called the working poor. And the working poor are starving during the lockdown. We're crashing into a depression. They can't give it a fancy, funny name like recession or adjustment or correction. We're going into a depression. The U.S. labor market is in free fall. And demand for food aid in some regions of the country has surged 8-fold in recent weeks. Apparently over in Baltimore, there's been a run on the bank. And apparently Baltimore City at the MECU Credit Union, located at 2337 East Northern Parkway. And we're getting word that a lot of banks are running out of cash. People want that money in their home. They want it under their control. Something I tend to agree with. All right, we're going to take a break for commercials here. We've got a caller waiting on the line, and we'll be right back.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, keep it today.
How would you like to earn an extra $10,000 or more a month from the comfort of your home? We show you how to win with a home-based business opportunity. This could be one of the best financial decisions you ever make. Work from home, full-time or part-time. Plus, you'll never have to talk to anyone. Our professional sales team closes all your sales for you, and you keep 70% of all the sales made. You could be earning money while you're sleeping, shopping, working out, wherever you are, day or night. Our system goes to work for you. You can make a great income without any special computer skills or sales training. Plus, you get paid fast, within just 24 to 48 hours after our professional sales team closes a sale for you. Let us help you eliminate your financial concerns. You could be earning enough money to pay off debt, buy a house, a car, or whatever the case may be. We've got you covered. If you'd like to add an extra $10,000 or more a month to your portfolio, and you would like to know exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it, go now to www.getstartedwithus.com. That's www.getstartedwithus.com. Again, that's www.getstartedwithus.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The Republic Broadcasting Network late night premiere show of Redfield Hardcore is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners. So that you can get involved in the activism, please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take the red pill.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting worse every.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're going to go back to the phones to Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Don't mute me, bro. Don't mute me, bro. the guy was gonna. I'm so, Mike. Dude, I went on to the. I'm not a very funny person. I'm very quite
Okay.
serious on when I call in, because I'm not in a very good mood all the time. But I went on quickfunnydokes.com and, okay, here, you can mute me if you want, but why did the cookie go to the hospital?
I don't know why.
Because he felt crummy. Ha ha.
Haha. Okay.
Or how about this, Mike? What do you call a fake noodle?
Tell me.
An impasta. They're so stupid, but you know what? I never knew these, And Mike, I have to say this, because in my area, I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a roll of Charmin today, because there ain't no Charmin on the shelves. There ain't no generic toilet paper on the shelves. There ain't no paper towel on the shelves. There's no disinfectant wipes. There's no toilet blow cleaner on the shelves. There is nothing, no ammonia, no bleach, all gone. From Walgreens to Walmart to Stop and Shop, so it's all gone, Mike. I mean, there's
Now
nothing.
that's funny. Our local market is starting to get it back in again. We were there earlier today, and the toilet paper shelf was it wasn't exactly full, but it was definitely stacked up there.
Yeah, over here it's not though. Like, New Jersey, we got there's a lot of people who live here, like New York. No Tylenol PM, that's all gone. I feel sorry for Advil, the company, because they're getting hammered. Nobody wants Advil right now, right? I mean, there's plenty of that on the shelves, because that's ibuprofen. Nobody wants ibuprofen. Everybody wants acetaminophen, But Mike, do you have 5G in the area?
In our area, no, not that I'm aware of.
You got 5G in your pocket?
Nope.
Me
I'm
neither.
using an
And
old
I don't have
iPhone
5G.
7. It does 4G, and that's it.
Mike, I don't have 4G, 3G, 2G, or 1G in my pocket, okay? Mike, I call in, I say the 5G things is crap. Why do people keep calling in? Well, somebody on YouTube, Amazing Polly, or Woody Harrelson now is on the 5G. Did you see that? He's in the 5G. Yeah, man. Go outside. Don't stay inside. Well, if 5G is outside, supposedly, right? I mean, it's all in the air and what you breathe. I mean, it's a stupidity. I'm sorry. 5G is not the issue, and I go back because Iran don't have 5G. That's
right.
It. Why do people keep bringing up the 5G issue? It's a non-issue. It's bogus. 5G is a radio type of. It's not going to turn your lungs into mush like this quick. Because this thing's moving fast, Mike. I mean, now I'm going to be the bummer of people. I'll hold over.
Yeah, I'm going to hold you over through station identification. We got more callers waiting on the line, and we'll be right back.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed a newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, the majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper doesn't give out the important attention of what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, the history the government hopes you never learn. Here is
And
your
aloha.
host, Michael Rivero.
I jumped too soon there. Welcome to hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443, and we're talking to Dustin in New Jersey. And you were talking about germs and viruses and all kinds of things.
Well, I'm going to get to the bad news, but real quick, I know people are calling in and emailing, but Joe from Tennessee has a right to voice his opinions, and I know there's some emails that probably hate me and Joe from Tennessee, but everybody has a right to their opinion. And Joe can call in all the time, and so can I and other people, and voice our opinions, what we think we believe in. It's what we believe in. We have the right to call in and just voice what we think is right or wrong. I'm not right all the time. I'm not wrong all the time. I'm a human being. We're all human beings, but we all really don't know what's going on. But some of us know more than others. And I'm going to get to the bad numbers now, okay? France had 1,437 people die in the last 24 hours. That's a lot of people, Mike. Okay, and Britain is in bad shape. New Jersey lost 230-something. New York lost, 700 and so. I mean, Mike, I know people call in and say, well, Joe called in. I think he's wrong on this, but this is his opinion and my opinion. He said, well, Trump's playing the middle of the road. He said that yesterday, right? No, man. If you don't lock down everything, it's not going to work. You can't have people coming and going in different spots. It's not just an East Coast, West Coast problem, people. This has been going on since November, okay? It's everywhere. It's in Montana. It's in Utah. And, Mike, there was a temperature. I was reading an article about the temperatures in Utah, Nevada, Arizona, and they're looking at people's temperatures coming in. The people's temperatures are getting hotter, so maybe they're getting sick. I mean, I don't know. But, I mean, the whole thing is, people are moving around, and if one part of the country is not doing anything and the other's locked down, it's not going to work, right? I mean, it's just not. You can't have people from Montana, because people do travel. As the travel and flights stop from Arizona and Utah and Iowa and Nevada and all these other states, no. As far as I know, and people don't realize this, but one person can infect 3 times 9, 9 times 3. That's how this thing works. And some of you might think it's still a hoax, but how do you know it's not a hoax? If you look, I said it yesterday, the Russians, why would they go along with the hoax in Iran? Isn't there some cases in Israel and Syria and stuff? Why would they go along with? Well, I know Israel would go, but you know what I mean? Why would Syria go along with it, or Lebanon and stuff? If it's not, and the hospital is empty. That caller was right, Mike. He said that's bogus because they don't allow visitors going to the hospital, so anybody can take a shaky camera phone, and move it around toward the ground, to get hits. On their web, on YouTube, because a lot of YouTube, everybody's coming out of the woodwork, Mike. You know that, right? To get hits on their YouTube channel, and did you hear about in Louisiana? They set up fake COVID-19 check, to check you out, charging $250 to get you checked out. $250. Yeah, man. So see. That's why I liked Alex Jones and David Knight a long time ago, but they're pushing that, and there's a lot of people pushing it's a hoax, and Mike, and even with the handkerchief thing, wearing a handkerchief's but these are false hopes, man. Because I'm going to wear a handkerchief, I'm invincible now. I hate to tell you this, but handkerchiefs don't freaking work. They don't block the 0.1 micron. Or 0.1 micron size, or 0.129 or something to the micron size. of the.
It's very small. You need multiple layers of a very fine weave mesh to keep out the virus particles. What a handkerchief will do, and what a cloth mask will do, is they'll trap the water droplets that are carrying the viruses.
But people don't also realize this, Mike. Like you sneeze, you cough, that's one thing. But when people are talking, because most people still don't have masks and gloves. When people are just talking in line, those particles are flying through the air. You don't know what the size is of those. You know, like it's a variety of sizes. You know, you're not there measuring them. But I mean, Mike, your wife take care. Your listeners take care. And I said this before, stay street smart. Don't listen to the fake people saying it's the hospitals are empty, it's a hoax or 5G. That's bunk. That's bunk. And if you have the ability, I hate to say it, to get an N95, because those are throwaways too. You don't, I mean, unless you're decontaminating in the hydrogen peroxide gases or putting in ultraviolet light for a couple hours, you know, those are throwaway items, unless you have a gas mask. You know, like, stay home. That's what they've been saying. Stay home if you don't need to go out. Don't go to a group of 50 or 100 people, because there's still gatherings going on like that on subways. And, you know, I mean, you got to be smart about this, folks. You know, this ain't no joke. You know, that's all I got to say, Mike. You know, have a good night.
All right. Thanks an awful lot for the phone call. I'm going to switch over to Tom in Florida. Aloha, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Michael. Good day to you. Yeah, good day. This is for Dustin. Dustin, just be patient. You're going to get a stimulus check, I think, if you did your taxes. So, and it might take you to July to get it, but you probably get a stimulus. And Nancy Pelosi might give you another one. She's looking for a fourth one for illegal aliens, you know, for everybody else to get some money. And as far as Dustin goes about, does Dustin remember? I don't know, Michael. Do you remember when you were younger? We had a thing called Dixie Riddle Cups.
Yes.
You remember Dixie Riddle Cups? They always had a joke. You ever heard the one? What did the light bulb say to the light switch?
Tell us.
You turn me on.
Yeah.
Light bulb said light switch. You turn me on. Yeah, they were on Dixie Riddle Cups for years, and then they had a controversy because I guess one of the riddles was offensive to the group, and that's when they ended those Dixie Riddle Cups for the kids. But they were back in the 70s and 80s, early 80s. But anyway, that's about throw that out there. So I don't know if Dustin ever knew about the Riddle Cups, but yeah, Michael, the reason I called you is first off on the news, Austria and Denmark are opening up their economies like Sweden. They're gonna open their economies back up. They're gonna let people start mingling and all that. I was on the news.
Yeah.
Also, so Austria and Sweden and Denmark are opening their economies. They're not going to go much longer with their economies. The people shut down, you know, not walking, doing business. Also, they had on the news on Drudge not long ago that this Chinese general did admit that virus came out of a Wuhan laboratory. Have you heard that?
No, I hadn't heard that it had been admitted, but that's pretty much been obvious since day one that that's what happened.
Yeah, that's on Drudge right now. One high official general said, yeah, it did leak out of a laboratory. So we'll see. I mean, want to see that be pursued much more. Also, getting back to the other caller, one caller, yeah. I don't know if that guy remembers, but I think Tulsi Gabbard is trying to sue Hillary Clinton for false accusations. So you know, Tulsi's got a lawsuit against Hillary. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe you know. I don't know. But yeah, Michael, you notice since this whole pandemic thing's going on here, we haven't heard a word about Jussie Smollett. We haven't heard a word about Molly Tibbetts' case over there in Iowa.
Yeah.
We don't hear nothing other than One American News talks about it, and a little bit of Fox. All these other networks don't say a word about illegal immigration, pouring into this country constantly. We don't hear nothing about all these other diseases that are permeating through the United States right now. I mean, it's just unbelievable. This is all about, the way I'm looking at this thing in the media, Michael, this is all about blame Trump, blame Trump, blame Trump. It's all Trump's fault. I guarantee if it was a Democrat in there when this would have happened, like a Biden or a bumbling Biden or the witch Hillary, they would have never stopped the travel of the Chinese. They're so you can't be racist. Look what they're trying to say in the media, the Chinese media, that the United States is racist. Let me tell you, those red communist Chinese, their whole modus operandi, Michael, to take the United States down and squash it like a grape. It's exactly what they're trying to do. Squish us like a grape. That's their modus operandi. And yes, we fumbled the ball for the last 25 years, letting these Chinese have everything, building all our factories, stealing everything, all the secrets we got. It's unbelievable what's been allowed. The treason that's happened in this country in the last 25, 30 years is disgraceful and disgusting. And people ought to be ashamed of what they allowed to happen here. Now, you're talking about Venezuela. There's a lot of Venezuelans here in South Florida, and I can tell you they're all pro-conservative. None of these people, they know what Venezuela, Cuba's about. They don't want that here because they lived it, and they know it. I've been there, and it's a disaster. It looks like an atomic bomb blast over there on that island. I mean, it's unbelievable what's happened. And I mean, I don't know if your listening audience knows it, but 95% of the people in Cuba do not have hot running water in their house. 50% of them don't have a toilet seat on their toilet, Michael.
Well, I mean, look at all the
believe
years
that?
the United States has maintained that embargo against Cuba. I mean, talk about carrying a grudge.
Well, you know, I understand all that, Michael, but you know, there's other countries. Canada's been doing business with Cuba for 60 years. I don't know why the Canadians not going over there and forcefully helping them with their water desalination plants and all that. I mean, yeah, we can blame the United States for a lot of embargo, but you got other countries in Europe. You got Canada. What have they done for these countries? Except just going to be tourists. That's all they want. They want to go to the beach, and I don't blame them, you know, and look at the scenery. I mean, exactly what's happened when I see with my own eyes when I went there. But, you know, I want to get off of that because I want to go to this real quickly. Nancy Pelosi is going for another stimulus package, Michael. It's going to be over $1 trillion. They already just out on the news today. She's looking to pump up in $300 billion for sanctuary cities to take care of all these illegals. If that ain't treason, Michael, what is it?
Well, it's a violation of Title VIII. There's no question about that. She should be arrested.
She should be arrested right now. And these people who vote for her, are they mental midgets or what? What is going on here? I mean, you're voting for somebody who wants to take away from you to give to another group that should take care of their own country and fight for their own cultural identity in their own country? Not come here. Stay over there, you guys. Matter of fact, Mexico has better farmland than the United States. They have more fertile farmland in that country, Mexico, than they do in the United States. I saw that on a website the other day. I'm like, what? It's unbelievable what's going on. Why do they want to come here? California.
Well, actually, right now, crossings at the border have gone way, way down because they're afraid of picking up the coronavirus.
Yes, that's right. That is true. But you know, all I can say is, Michael, thank God we have somewhat of a little guy who has some resiliency in Trump compared to a Democrat. If you had a Democratic president right now, the immigration for the last 3 years would have been in the $50-60 million range. It would cost the taxpayers I don't know how much money. And then right now, what's going on? They still have those borders open. These Democrats are nothing but Bolshevik communist ideology. That's all they are in the Democratic Party. And let me tell you, Michael, the white Caucasians left in the Democratic Party are a bunch of capitulating pansies. They have capitulated, and they've let the squad take over. They let the minority group, which is a minority in that party, take over the mindset without question. They're a bunch of pansies that took it over, that have taken how the Democrats are being run now. John F. Kennedy could never be a Democrat today, or half of them back in the 70s or 80s. It would never be a Democrat. It would be too radical to be a Democrat. Even the Democrats in the 90s. Even look at Obama; he's almost too radical to be in that party now. Almost unbelievable. What I'm seeing on the networks and stuff. But yeah, Michael. And I'll leave you with this thought. You know, China for 60 years was called the bamboo curtain, correct, Michael?
Correct.
Now what do you call it? It's the Red Communist Party, but they actually took that name Red Communist from the Russians, correct? It used to be actually the Russians were called the Red Communists, and not the Chinese. The Chinese like stole the name from the Russians, Lenin, and during 1917 when the Bolshevik, or I don't know, the Red Army was taking on the Tsar's White Army, and now the Chinese stole that, and now they're the Red Army, or they're the Red Communist. So they didn't even make that up. That was actually out of Russia, correct?
Well, communism sort of adopted the color red as their ensign, if you will. And when the Chinese decided they were going to be communists, they borrowed, if you will, a lot of the same iconography, not just the color red, but the stars and various other things. And they basically patterned themselves after the Soviet Union.
Right. And, exactly. And the Soviet Union collapsed, but the Red Chinese have adopted their identity, and they're trying to collapse the United States. But actually, in the long term, it's going to look like the Chinese are going to be ready to collapse soon. Because once all these factories pull out of China, and a lot of stuff leaves China, and people, after this pandemic's over in a year or two, I can tell you, I think the Chinese are ready for a major collapse like Russia, USSR. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, I would disagree with you on that one. I disagree with you on that one. I think the United States is much closer to collapse than China is. China's been around for a very, very long time. They're survivors.
Yes, Michael, they are survivors in their own cultural identity when they were the bamboo curtain. Because remember, before Nixon went in there was the Chinese said, no, we didn't know nothing about China. And they didn't know nothing basically about us. They were very dirt poor. 99% of their population in 1972 were riding around on bicycles. They only maybe had one roadway.
Look at them today. No, hang on a second. Hang on a second. Top Gear did a show in China looking at Chinese manufactured cars, and they have come a very, very long way. And they've built more highways than the United States has now, and they've got the cars to put on them.
Yes, Michael. But again, like I said, before Nixon opened up Red Communist China, they were dirt poor. There's no question about that. I mean, the Russians could bully them around anytime they wanted back in the 70s, in the early 70s, 60s, 50s. But now it's like, no, now because China, like you say, they became an emerging world superpower because they were working for peanuts. They're factory workers and all that. They were working when American was making $8 an hour, these people were making 80 cents an hour. So, of course, they're going to become prosperous. But I'm just saying, what they're pulling now, I believe that people are going to wake up worldwide, and I think China's going to have a major collapse. Maybe the United States also, Michael. I won't argue that point. Maybe you're absolutely right, too. But I think if that happens, we fall, China's definitely going to fall, for sure. They're ready to fall as well as we will. That's absolutely, definitely positive. So we'll see. But right now, Michael, I think we need to get Trump in here one more time so we can really seal that border off. I want to see all 750 miles, whatever walls are going to be built, and I want to see some real tough restrictions on immigration. We need a 25, like you said, we need a major timeout on immigration. Major. I don't care if it's 100 years. We need a timeout. You come here, vet. You need to be vetted superly, and we don't need it. We can't go past 400 million in this country. We'll collapse. We're going to collapse as a nation if we go past 400 million. That's what I look at.
I agree.
Look at what's going on right now, Michael. We don't even have that many people in this country
to support it.
We sure don't. I hope these leaders in Washington realize that this has got. We need a 50-year moratorium on everybody coming from whatever country. We need a 50-year moratorium on immigration. You want to come visit?
Okay,
fine.
well, Tom, I'm going to have to let you go. We got to take a break for commercials. We'll be back with more phone calls after these few words.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant 'em anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, we won't say we did. The towers in
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And a reminder that Republic Broadcasting is in the middle of a fundraising drive. And yes, it sounds like we're always in the middle of a fundraising drive, but that's the truth. We need your financial help to keep Republic Broadcasting on the air, on the internet, around the world, bringing truth to power. So if you can help out, please do. And a heartfelt thanks to those of you who have already donated. The postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. The network thanks you. All right, we're going to go back to the phones here to Fred in Wisconsin. Aloha, Fred. Thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Thank you for taking me. I just got to say, Mike, you got to be the most patient man on the radio based on my holding and listening to what was going on ahead of me. I'm just going to cut to the chase here real quick. I don't know how many people are aware of this. It's called the World Economic Forum.
Yes.
It's an NGO originated in 1971, based out of Switzerland, along with the IMF and the BIS. It's a Rockefeller. Their fingers are in it. If people go to weforum.org, they can open it up. And the most important thing to do when you get in there is look under platforms and start taking a look at what these people have already done and what they're planning on doing. I don't want to get into it too deep, but you've got a lot of people running, long things here. So if people take a chance and take a look at that, I think it's really going to be amazing what they're going to find, because these guys have been doing this since 1971. And from what I can figure, they're the ones that moved all our production to China.
Well, that was a bad move. Good move for China, bad move for the United States. I'm thinking that this coronavirus may be the death blow for globalism because of all of this nonsense that's going on about countries that manufacture the medical supplies we need are refusing to export because they need it for themselves. And it's basically underscoring that nationalism and self-sufficiency is definitely a better way to go.
Like I said, I've been looking at this pretty hard, and they've definitely got their fingerprints into a lot of different things. It just bothers me that they're based out of Switzerland, where the banksters are and all that, and what they're capable of doing based on these platforms. I mean, as you roll them out and read them, it's just amazing. I don't want to take a lot of your time, sir. You are definitely the most patient man on the radio. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you very much for the phone call, Fred. We're going to switch over to Peter in Dallas. Aloha, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Michael. I have a joke. How many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb?
Only
That's
one, but
one,
the light bulb
but the
really
light-
has to change. Really has to want to change.
The light bulb want to change.
Yeah.
There you go. Hey, I heard some numbers that concerning the virus that were meaningful to me. They were from I think Dr. John Bergman. He's been on doing a health show for years. And if his numbers are correct, they're very interesting. He's saying that the number of deaths in all the coronavirus countries in Europe, year to year, comparable deaths from this year to last year are the same, that there's no, as regardless of how many people are dying of coronavirus, the total number of deaths are the same from one year to the next. And he's suggesting that just every pneumonia case or every respiratory illness is just being coded as a coronavirus, and that it is a hoax. So if those numbers are correct, I think they're interesting numbers.
Well, what I think is going on is it's very obvious that when coronavirus first showed up, there were a lot of doomsday prophets, if you will, that were predicting all these huge amounts of death, and it's not happening. Flat out not happening. And so the corporate media and the government, rather than say, oh, we blew it, they're trying to make it look like the situation is as serious as they initially said it was going to be. And that's why we had CDC literally come on out and tell doctors and hospitals, if you have a patient with coronavirus and they die, say it was from the coronavirus, even if they actually died of something else like a heart attack. So, yeah, they're fudging the books to try and, it's right out of Winston Smith in 1984, the Ministry of Truth, making sure that the past history matches up with current government policy.
Well, you would expect the number of dead to increase from last year, though. And if they didn't, that would sort of support what you're saying, that they're just coding everything to coronavirus and it's as opposed to pneumonia or whatever. Thank you very much, Michael.
Flu deaths are down. Yeah, flu deaths are down by about the same amount as coronavirus deaths are up. So, yeah, they're cooking the books again. They're cooking the books here. Too bad they can't cook the virus.
Bye-bye.
All right, we got to thank you very much for the phone call. We got to take another break for commercial. We will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Don't regret growing old. It's a privilege denied to many. Heart disease is taking our youth from us. Young people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond are dying needlessly. One of the hardest messages I've ever had to deliver is to convince people that something natural like Extendivite should be taken as a preventative measure. I'm sure you heard an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Extendivite is that ounce. Take Extendivite for 1 year and see what your doctor has to say and how much better you feel. Herbs take time to address the problem. It took years of life to have a problem. Give Extendivite 1 year to fix the problem. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or visit us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Did you know that you can be tracked and traced when you're online? With identity theft and cybercrimes on the rise, your passwords, your identity, and even your physical location can be revealed to complete strangers. Would you like to surf the internet anonymously and not have to worry about these threats? Well, now you can by visiting patriotinternet.com. For about $2 per month, patriotinternet.com will conceal your IP address and your physical location, allowing you to browse the web, send emails, and instant message anonymously. patriotinternet.com will bypass filters, block sites, and keyword blocking. You can also bypass logging by your router and your ISP. With patriotinternet.com, there is no software to install and uses 128-bit encryption for your protection. When using wireless hotspots, patriotinternet.com shields your information from identity thieves and is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Protect your identity and your freedom with anonymous internet access from patriotinternet.com. Visit patriotinternet.com today.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go right back to the phones to Nadell in Kansas City. Aloha, or hello, Nadell. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
So during quarantine class, my boy wants to know, what's the difference between theory and reality? I'm like, son, go ask your sister if she'll sleep with Brad Pitt for $1 million. Comes back, yep, she'll sleep with Brad Pitt for $1 million. Go ask your mother if she'll sleep with George Clooney for $1 million. And the son comes back, yep, she'll sleep with George Clooney for $1 million. So you see, son, in theory, we're sitting on a couple of $1 million, but in reality, we're living with a couple of sluts.
Oh, that's terrible.
So we have the stock market crashing. The market is going for incredible rides, both up and down. We have QE. We have a pandemic that started in January, which came out of nowhere. People are terrified. My daughter runs to the emergency room. I rush behind her, trying to get her checked out. I tell the nurse, I want to take her out of the emergency room. It's like, no. We have to check her for this virus. They were adamant about it. They would not release her to me. I said, what are you going to do if she has the virus? Well, if she has the virus, we're going to give her Tylenol and send her home. What if she doesn't have the virus? Well, we're going to give her Tylenol and send her home. I said, look, I won't give her Tylenol. Just send her home with me. No, she stays in and I end up paying a $500 bill just to pretty much give her Tylenol. But this virus, with high estimates, infects 1.4 billion people worldwide. It kills almost 600,000 at the high end of the estimates worldwide. This virus lasts for a year and a half, over a year and a half. Now here's where it gets interesting. Somewhere in the middle, as if a switch went off, doctors are no longer testing for this virus. There's no longer a panic. The pandemic is over. People are fine. At this point, this virus still has months to play out, but the panic is over. Life is good. Now, if you think I'm talking about COVID 1984, I don't blame you because it sounds a lot like COVID. What I am describing is my personal experience with the swine flu and what Wikipedia had to say about it back in 2009.
Yes.
So this swine flu, this pandemic, it wasn't solved by vaccines, hydrochloroquine, nor zinc, selenium, vitamin C, nor the suppressive lockdown. You know what solved this swine flu pandemic? It's simply the fact that the economy recovered. Had the economy not recovered and it continued to crash, back in 2009, this whole thing will be playing out, right? We would have the lockdowns, we would have the panic, we'd have the food shortages, we'd have the run on the banks. The Slimers, as Celente calls them, called off the 2009 pandemic. They were able to turn it on and turn it off, which is just a switch. But unlike 2009, the economy is not recovering. So they're continuing with this live theater exercise, taking away our freedoms faster than I've ever seen. So listen very well, especially you, Dustin. If for some reason all the stars aligned, we hit the jackpot and this lockdown actually does work, these Slimers will attack us again with an even deadlier virus. There's no peaceful resolution to solve this mess we're in. The powers to be have shown us that they're willing to murder hundreds of millions of people just to stay in power. If you don't believe me, explain how we so easily murdered, not just murdered, but starved to death, 500,000 Iraqi children back in the 90s and simply called them collateral damage. Well, guess what? Today, we are that collateral damage, and they're coming for us. We have no one to blame but ourselves for letting this nonsense go on year after year. Don't take that personally. It's just how I feel. We failed to bring in a new government, especially after 9/11, and now we're going to pay the price. In theory, we have a pandemic, but in reality, we have a military takeover of our once almost free country. Hold on, it's going to be a bumpy ride. On the bright side, at least we're not going to have to hear about man-made global warming anymore, because this is the new vehicle that they're going to bring in the one world government. Lastly, I find it interesting.
I wouldn't bet on that last one.
I think we're going to start seeing stories, and it's going to be like the 70s, where the global cooling is coming in again, and we're going to all die of global cooling. If they can really bring in this one world government through the health organization, they don't need to push global warming anymore. And it's embarrassing that they keep even pushing out as it's falling apart.
Well, I think the push for global government rests on a foundation of 3 pillars. One is a global pandemic, which they're selling us in existence. The second is a global economic crash, requiring a global central bank, which seem well on the way to that as well. And finally, let's see, what's the third one? Okay, global pandemic, economic crash, and I actually forget the third one. But I think they're using them all together here. And Henry Kissinger is already out there saying globalism, globalism, globalism.
Yeah, I agree with that. But it's getting more and more obvious that we're entering an ice age. I don't know how much longer they can push that. Just like the story I read not too long ago where they're describing how carbon is now falling to the bottom of the oceans. It already feels like they're looking for ways to ease off global warming. But my whole point is that this pandemic has been planned. It's being executed. It is a live theater. And no matter what we do, if we somehow get rid of it, we're going to be attacked again. These guys can turn it on and turn it off anytime we want. There's no win for us. There's nothing we can do that's going to stop it. If they want to infect us, they're going to keep infecting us, no matter what we do, just to keep us in line. That was the point of my story.
Okay, and I remember that third pillar, the foundation that's a global environmental crisis, the human-caused global warming. Those are the 3 pillars they're trying to build the push for a single global government on. And we're starting to see more and more about that. And we're going to start seeing more and more stories about global warming again, because they're pushing all three at the same time.
Yeah, and you could be right. That's my guess. Thank you. You guys have a good day.
All right. Thank you. We're going to switch over to Sebastian in Sweden. Hello, Sebastian. Thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Oh, yeah, Mike. I just want to, everything's, I'm doing fine here. I'm in the country all by myself. I just have 2 cats and myself. So I'm not around the large city like Stockholm that has most of the mortality rate. And that's what I want to talk about. The Swedish hospital HMS system, as they call it in England. I don't know what you call it in America. Just the, when you go to the hospital or healthcare, the healthcare system in general, it's been going down for the last 20 years. And what really hit the peak was in 2015 when we took over 1 million immigrants in this country. And then after that, the healthcare system has just been really, really deteriorating in Sweden. And for example, this latest flu or whatever you call it, the corona, the death rate in Sweden is 7.68%. But in our neighboring countries like Denmark is, sorry?
I said that's not good.
No, it's not. In neighboring countries, it's Denmark is 4%, Norway 1.51%, Finland 1.47%. And just to use an example, okay, Sweden has 10 million and the other countries have a little bit over 5 million people. But take Germany, for instance, that has 82 million people. They have over 100,000 cases, corona, and their fatality rate is 1.8%. This is Germany. Okay, if you want to go into Spain and Italy, France, and England, I think have just 10%, or maybe just a little bit over 10%. But I'm saying that talking about Sweden with the healthcare system, they gave away. They have two field hospitals, military field hospitals. They got them one set up in Gothenburg and another one outside Stockholm. They gave away almost 6 field hospitals in the last 20 years to, people that were in need. And maybe I think it was one going to Haiti or something. I forgot, during the hurricane, which was good, I thought. But and then they just gave them away because they were just in mothballs, and they said, oh, we don't need them anymore. So they didn't have a very good supply when they really needed it. Like Finland, they took their war chest, their war that they were saving for next war because they're so close to, they were so much involved during the Second World War. They have a war chest of medical supplies. So they took them out and they're using them now. They have masks, respirators, everything. And that's why their percentage is pretty low. They're using them. And then, of course, when they finish this corona, I'm sure they're going to just fill it with newer equipment, which is pretty smart. But I'm just saying that the health, it's been going downhill. It really going downhill, like you say, to hell in a handbasket. I remember 1970 when I came here, congressmen were coming over from America to look how good the health system was in Sweden compared with America at that time. We pay for it in tax, but it was good. I'll have to admit it was really good. But now it's just mostly half privatized, and it's it's disgusting. And then we have these the foreigners that came in the country. The kids are spitting on and coughing in old people's faces, in Sweden on the streets, and it's just disgusting. I don't think we have anything around in the country like that, but I always keep homemade pepper spray with me just in case, because I'm not going to put up with it. But it's that's the situation, and I think this is a nail in the coffin for globalism, this corona, and also for the common market, because like there was some supplies coming from Russia going to some country, and they were confiscated by another country and they started using them. I think they were face masks or something. So we have even the common market is completely, they didn't help us at all. Brussels, it's just they're useless. It's just useless, the common market in Europe. I just hope it dissolves. I hope this is a nail in their coffin, in the globalist. I don't think there's going to be a military takeover. I don't think the people would stand for it, especially the Americans, with the Second Amendment. Swedes, on the other hand, they could get away with it in this country, but not in America. So that's all I want to leave you with, and stay healthy, you and all the listeners, and take care of yourselves, everyone.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that kind thought, and thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Mark in North Carolina. Aloha, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, what's going on?
Go ahead. You're on the air.
All right. Yeah. Hey, Mike. One thing about, everybody's attacking China. Fact of the matter is, you want to blame somebody, blame these corporations and the corrupt government that allowed these corporations, even give them tax breaks, to throw away American jobs and go out there to China in the first place. I can't blame the Chinese. They did what they had to do. We would have done the same thing. They would have brought jobs here. Not there, Stop blaming them. I mean, this is, it's ridiculous. The other thing is I wanted to comment about Captain Crozier.
Yes.
What Joe says. Listen, Joe, I don't care if you're an officer or not. It doesn't matter to me. I was enlisted man in the Army. Don't mean nothing to me. Officers mean nothing to me. Okay, I don't even think there should be saluting. I don't believe in it. I think the chain of command is a bunch of nonsense. And I personally think that captain is a hero. I personally also think that if this is as serious as we say it is, I'm talking about the coronavirus as a whole, and it may be and it may not. I'm not really sure yet. But if it is, then we need to dock the whole fleet. Period. Bring them home. Dock them. They're not doing anything anyway. They're not doing any good. They're starting wars in places. They're threatening other countries, like they're threatening Venezuela right now. They're threatening Iran. Bring them home. These are our floating petri dishes, just like these cruises people going on. Okay, bring them home. Dock these ships until this is over, and then I personally think all of these ships should be junked because they serve no good. We don't need all these aircraft carriers. We don't need all these battleships. We don't even need all these submarines. I don't say we don't need any, but we certainly don't need so many. Let's start using the money for our infrastructure, and let's make sure that our health system is properly equipped and supplied so we never have something like this again. And also, let's get some real health insurance for everybody in this country. Period. There's no reason for to have to throw away our money on the military like that. There's no threats to us. There's no external threats to the United States. There's internal threats, but that comes from within our own government, our own corporate establishment, not from the outside. Russia's not a threat to us. China's not a threat to us. Iran is not a threat to us unless we make them a threat. If we make these people enemies, yeah, they can be dangerous enemies, because especially Russia and China are nuclear powers. But if we leave them alone and start minding our own business, like what is our fleet doing in the South China Sea? What is our business if the Chinese and the Vietnamese have a squabble over the South China Sea? The same Vietnamese, by the way, that we were told years ago that if we don't fight them over there, we're going to fight them over here, right? And now we're going to go to war for them because they claim those islands. I don't care who gets those islands. That's their business. It's not the American Sea. It's not the Gulf of Mexico. It's the South China Sea. It's called the South China Sea for a reason. Leave them alone. It is none of our business. Bring the fleets home. Dock these ships. Okay, these sailors should not be kept on, in this kind of condition. And let's give Captain Crozier an award. Not condemn him. Make him an admiral. Matter of fact, make him the chief admiral. I don't care. Put him under Joint Chiefs. We need somebody like that with a Joint Chief. All right? And Joe, I don't care about you saying a command letter. I don't care if you were an officer or not. It don't mean nothing to me. I don't even believe in saluting. Okay? All right? That's why I didn't stay in very long. All right? I hated it because I think I don't like autocratic systems. Okay? There's no reason for a lot of that stuff. Now, we did need, if this is a time of war, if we were like World War II, obviously it was need for secrecy and stuff like that because we were facing two enemies that threatened us, actually threatened to invade us. But not anymore. That's not the case anymore. Oh, I see the music though, Mike. All right?
Yeah, we got to let you go. Take a break for commercials. We got 2 more phone calls to get in our last segment. We'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendivite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75%. Dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat. Very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Is the Second Amendment your line in the sand? Is the United States Constitution important to you? Are you worried about gun confiscation? You need to join us for free at gunconfiscation.com. At gunconfiscation.com, you will meet like-minded patriots, get the latest Second Amendment news, and find anything you need to prepare for gun confiscation. Visit gunconfiscation.com today. That's gunconfiscation.com. Which side are you on?
Talk Right, the conservative app offered by TalkStream Live that caters exclusively to the conservative talk radio community. Here you'll see only talk shows and podcasts from the conservative right, all the big broadcast names and online digital shows in one place. Talk Right makes it easy to find all your favorite conservative talkers with all the upscale features you come to expect from TalkStream Live. Keep up with the fast-paced political world. Download Talk Right today from Google Play or the App Store.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting worse.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. Last segment of our program today, and we're going to go right back to the phones to Dan in Texas. Hello, Dan. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Two more quick ones for you, Mike.
Okay.
Halloween night, the doorbell rings. A man gets his candy and goes to the front door to find a young boy wanting some trick or treat. He says, "My, I like your costume. You must be a pirate." He says, "Yes, sir, I am." He says, "Well, if you're a pirate, where are your buccaneers?" And the little boy said, "Mister, they're right here on the side of my bucking head."
Yes.
A blonde comes home from a day of shopping only to go to her bedroom and find her husband in bed with another woman. Distraught, she goes to her dresser, opens the top drawer and pulls out a .357 and sticks it to her head. Husband jumps up out of bed screaming, "No, honey, don't. Please don't." And she said, "Shut up, you sorry SOB. You're next." Thank you, Mike. Y'all have a good week.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. And we're going to switch over to Chris in Clearwater. Aloha, Chris. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, Michael, I say folks ought not to freak out if they speak out. And I advise now is the time to call shows and let them know how and why exactly you do not buy the official stories. And point out the contradictions, take notes ready to have for the best delivery. And after you call shows, I often think of how I could have done better, but you might feel uncomfortable at first, but eventually you'll get on a roll and it'll become very therapeutic. On April 1st, Joe Rogan interviewed the well-known pro-vaccine Dr. Peter Hotez, MD, PhD, and from his bio, quote, as head of the Texas Children's Center for Vaccine Development, he leads the only product development partnership for developing new vaccines for, among other things, SARS and MERS. But he is also questioning the PCR test. You can look up the transcript, the PCR test or RT-PCR that is being employed now. The transcript reads, "You're doing what's called PCR to look for the genome of the virus, and you don't know if the virus is really there, or just bits and fragments of destroyed virus that are testing positive for PCR. And we have all these odd results, like kids with no symptoms at all are testing positive, and then kids with symptoms are testing positive and negative, and it turns out diagnosing respiratory virus pathogens is not easy," end quote. So that's as I mentioned before, and we don't have the time to go into that, but it's like if you're in a war, you want to know the difference between a battleship and wreckage of a battleship. The CDC, if you do a search, if you do a web search using any search engine, cdc.gov, for PCR and false, you'll find a lot of information that's saying that, yes, there are false positives and false negatives. Go to site:/cdc.gov and the word PCR and false.
Okay, Chris, I got to let you go. We're at the end of the show here. Stay tuned for John Stadmiller. He's going to have a corona-free show about toxins in the environment, water quality, and lawsuits against polluters. Please spread the word of RBN and whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. We'll be back tomorrow, Hump Day. Aloha, America.